Now to talk about what's going on in the woods this week. What's going on in the woods this week is the owls are starting to begin their courtship. The first ones up are our largest, and those are the great horned owls. Great horned owls are about 2 feet tall and weigh between 1 and 3 Nalgene bottles, which is about the equivalent of 32 ounces to, say, 90 ounces. They prefer to make their nests in the cavities of trees and there's the holes in the trees, the cavities, but they also prefer to make them right on the crux of snags as well. They don't like to make their own nests. They'll use something excavated by another creature or somebody else's nest. Nests generally get used all year round, and here's one example of it. They prefer to eat, just about anything. Anything they can take down, they will. They've been documented eating approximately 250 different species. They're one of the few animals that will frequently take down skunks. It is said that if you smell a skunk in the woods in the middle of the day, then you're probably fairly close to a great horned owl nest or breeding area. So being in January, they are going to start calling, and the males and the females have different pitches in their voices, and you can tell the difference. It's pretty neat. They will actually sing or call to each other, and you can tell which is the male and which is the female simply because the male has the deeper voice of the two. About a month after breeding, they'll lay usually between 2 and 4 eggs, and the eggs will hatch approximately a month after that. The young will stick around for probably 6 to 8 weeks, 6 to 9 weeks, and then they will, literally leave the nest. What's kind of neat is how far they move from the nest. They'll move, 100, 200 miles even from the nest to find a good breeding area, but once they find that breeding area, they tend to stick around. They're fairly long-lived in that they will live up to 10, 12 years in the wild, in captivity, where things are more comfortable and they don't have to hunt quite as much for their food. They'll live upwards of 30 years, but let's be real. People live a lot longer in captivity. If we were stuck out in the wild, we wouldn't last very long either. The adults, once they found their breeding area, they tend to stick right in that area. Their home range is about a square mile, and they'll stay within that range about all through the year, but for about 8 years, for about their adult and breeding life. They're one of the most common owls out there, not only for New England, but just throughout their entire range. They're not rare, they're not endangered, and in fact, because of their aggressive nature, they're usually accredited. They're credited with picking off some of the more rare species. But hey, quite honestly, the owl's not thinking, wow, you're a rare species, I think I'll avoid you. It's thinking, I'm hungry, you look good to eat, I'm going to eat you. Owls don't think the way that we do. Thank you for joining us for this week's Conservation and Coffee, and we'll see you next week. And potentially I'll actually have coffee instead of a cup of tea. Have a good week, stay safe, remain ever curious. And don't forget to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Google+, Pinterest if you want to. What can I say? We're social. And you're always welcome to reach me at scarpenter, first initial, last name, at blueliontraining.com.